Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay. Um, Yesterday, again, we're doing the second Perek, but we didn't finish the first Mishnah. It's a bit of a longer Mishnah. I said he says a lot of things in this Mishnah. We're talking about Rebbe. And by the way, as I said, all those wonderful things about Rebbe, which was Rebbe is Rebbe Yehuda Hanassi. And then not too many people in the history of Judaism that they call him just Rebbe. That's it. Or Rebbeinu HaKadosh. He had the title of being the Rebbe of all of Klal Yisrael since Moshe Rabbeinu had that title of Moshe Rabbeinu. We don't call Moshe Rabbeinu Rabbeinu. Only one person actually is Rebbe. The Rabbi Kotler once said the difference between Torah Shebal Peh, which is what we call Gemara and Shas, and Torah Shebeksav, which is the Sefer Torah, which is Chamisha Torah, the Tanakh, is like a map. He says, you have a map and you're looking for a map of the globe. You have a map of the globe and you're looking for the city of New York. And you can find it on the map of the globe. But try to find Times Square on a map of the globe, impossible. There's no way in the world that we say the map of the globe would have to be so large to be able to find the street in the city of New York. He says, Torah Shebeksav, Tanakh, is like a map of the whole world. It's a globe, a global map. It tells you everything that you have to know, the oceans, the countries, and the dimensions of the countries, and everything of the world. This is the world. But if you want to have detail to explain exactly what the Torah is talking about, to find one street on a map of the globe, you have to have a map of the city of New York. It's much more. It's a map that details in the globe itself a specific city. You can't physically put it on a map of the globe, and that's what Torah Shebeksav is. Torah Shebeksav, as we say, is you cannot. Torah Shebal Peh explains the Torah Shebeksav to the point where if you didn't have Torah Shebeksav, you would not even understand the Torah Shebal Peh. Meaning, Torah says, if somebody knocks out your eye, ayin tachas ayin, you're supposed to knock out the other person's eye. And in fact, in Arabic countries, they take the Torah literally, and they knock out somebody's eye. Yad tachas yad, they take off somebody's hand, somebody steals, they cut off his hand. Chachamim realize that's not what the Rebbeinu Shalom would want. So they show from different ways that when it says ayin, tachas ayin, we are talking about a monetary compensation. So how would you do that? You would judge a person who has healthy two eyes, and had he been injured on one eye, how much is he valued less? Had you put him on a slave market, a person with two healthy eyes is worth $1,000. A person with only one eye is only worth $700. So you owe the guy $300. His monetary loss is $300. Without Torah Shebeksav, without the Gemara, you would never know that. And what you would do is you would actually cut out somebody else's eye, chas v'sholom, which doesn't even make sense. So that's why we need Torah Shebeksav, and that's why Rebbeinu HaKadosh, Rebbe, is the one that put it down on paper and explained it, and that we all understand the Torah Shebeksav. We are so much richer as a people with what Rebbe had done that if not, the Torah would have totally been forgotten. And that's why he gets the title of Rebbeinu HaKadosh. He's our Rebbe, because without him, we wouldn't have all these explanations of what the Torah is actually talking about. Many different things. For example, the 39 Melachos of Shabbos. What does it say in the Torah anything about 39 Melachos? How do you know from where do you get the Melachos of Shabbos? Without the Gemara, there's a whole Gemara of Shabbos, which we are discussing right now. And the interesting things that we discuss, scenarios, is only because of the Mishkan. And how would we know that if not for the Gemara? Impossible. It's not physically possible. So that's what we have Rebbe Yoiman. That's what Rebbe has this great title of, he's the Rebbe of Klal Yisrael. He's a Rebbeinu HaKadosh. So Rebbe said, we said yesterday, we said he should take a middle of the way route. I'm not going to repeat yesterday's shir, obviously. He says, Ezi derech yishorish yavu le'odom, that's the first Mishnah. And what's the proper path for a person to take? It's kol shit the first limb. He said with the first limb in odom. We said it's the proper way is what makes you, whatever you're doing should be the proper thing. The people should say, oh, this guy is a Jew, and I'm proud, so to speak, that and at the end, the Rebbeinu Shalom has a Kiddush Hashem if we do everything properly. And then he said, as we said, you have to be careful with a mitzvah that is, you assume, because you really don't know, you don't know how much a mitzvah, the value of a mitzvah. And you don't know the loss of a mitzvah. You cannot calculate the cost of a mitzvah against its reward simply because you don't know what it's worth. So how could you calculate it? And when it says schar mitzvah b'hai al malachim, in this world, you're going to be paid in the future world for every good deed that you did, every mitzvah that you did, everything that you did that made a kiddush Hashem. You will be paid in the next world. Why not? Because schar mitzvah b'hai al malachim. There's no the schar of a mitzvah. We will not get in this. We don't get in this world. But why not? And there's only two places in the Torah where it says that you get schar mitzvah in this world. And one of them is, I think the one says shliach haken, and the other one is kibbud avim, because it also says you have a longer life. But other than that, because there's no physical way, there's not enough benefits Hashem created in this world that your neshama will be satisfied for the schar of this mitzvah. You're not going to get paid for the value of the mitzvah. You don't want to have the value of the mitzvah in this world, because the value of the mitzvah of this world is elishar. You can't physically calculate that at this moment. So that's why Hashem is doing you a favor, and He says, "Oh, well, maybe I'll give you a little bit of a better life." But you don't understand. 1 second of Olam Haba has so much more value than the whole lifetime of Olam Hazeh, as one of the Mishnah said. So to finish up the Mishnah, that was all basically yesterday's mitzvah, yesterday's Mishnah. In fact, there was an interesting story with the Apter Rav. That's very similar stories that happened with two different people. One of them was the Slutzker Rav. Slutzker Rav was called the Ridvaz. He was he lived in the United States in the early 1900s. Then he moved later on he was here for about 10 years. And then he moved to Eretz Yisrael. And while he was in Slutsk, which is a city in Lithuania, there was an interesting din Torah. What happened was that there was a fellow who owned a butcher shop, and it was very busy. It was Thursday afternoon. People were buying for Shabbos, and there was winter time, and about 3:30, he says, "Okay, everybody out. I'm closed for an hour." And it was the busiest time. He literally kicks out a half a store. Everybody from the store, and people are going out. And as they're going out, this fellow walks in who wasn't from. He was actually a professor in the university over there, and he says, "Why is everybody going out?" He says, "Because he's closing the shop now for an hour." Says, "What do you mean he's closing the shop? It's busy. Who kicks out customers? What kind of businessman is that?" So he goes in and he says, "Sir, what are you doing?" So he says, I'm closing the store for now. I'll come back in now if you want something." So he says, "Come back in now. I need something now. I want to have supper in an hour. I'm eating supper. Could you please give me 3 slices of meat?" So the guy says, "I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm happy." He said, "Where are you going?" He says, "I'm going to daven mincha." "You're going to daven mincha?" They said, "Go to a corner for 3 minutes and go to daven mincha." So he says, "Are you kidding me? I daven mincha and I go to a minyan and it takes me 20 minutes to daven mincha, and for 20 minutes I'm closed, and 5 minutes later after that is a little shear, and then I daven mincha." So he says, "Are you kidding? That's a businessman." He says, "Come back at 6 o'clock." And I said, "No, 6 o'clock. I'm going to be ready to finish my supper. I'm going to want to be sitting." So the guy says, he says, "You look like an intelligent guy." He told the butcher, "You really believe in this stuff?" So he says, "Of course I do." He says, "I'm going to get rewarded. Why don't you believe it? There's Olam Haba." So he says, he was obviously an atheist. He became educated, so to speak. And he says, in those days also, the college professors were like today. They were all liberal. And he says, "Of course I believe in Olam Haba." So the man says, "I'll tell you what," he says, "if you run over there and just cut me 3 slices of meat, I'll sell you my Olam Haba." The guy says, okay, I got time for 3 slices. He runs back, he goes, cut some 3 slices, and he gives it to him, and he says, that's the deal. You're selling me oilam haba for the 3 slices of meat. So the guy says, yeah. He said, and he starts laughing. What a great deal I got. I didn't have to pay for the meat. Then he goes and leaves. That's what happens. A few years later, a woman walks into the butcher shop, and she says, do you remember that story with that fellow with the meat? And he said you sold him, he sold you haba for the 3 slices of meat. So he says, yeah, sure, I remember. He says, how much was that meat? She said, why are you asking? He says, how much was that meat? He says, 2 rubles. Says, she says, here's 2 rubles. He said, do me a favor. I want you to forget about the deal. He says, what are you talking about? He says, no, I want you to forget about the deal. He says, no. He says, I bought Elam Haba, and I want it. So she says, please, I'm begging you. Because he came to me in a dream last night, and he says, they're giving me, he had passed away about a week earlier, and he sent him to Elam Haba because he sold his share of Elam Haba. So he says, I'm sorry, I'm not selling it. It was a deal. We made a deal. That was his deal. That's the way he believed in it. Didn't know what to do. The woman tried once or twice, it didn't work. So she went to the Rav of the city, which was this Rid Baz. His name was Valensky. And he says, and they made it Din Torah. She said, I want to take him to Din Torah. They Perek Din Torah. Amazing Din Torah. The whole city was in an uproar because the man came down in a dream and told his wife what's going on. And here's a whole Din Torah that basically a dead person is having a Din Torah that he wants to buy back what he sold him. So he says, so they each one gives their side of the story. The butcher tells to the Rabbanim, listen, I'm a butcher. I don't have that much time to learn. All I'm doing is cutting meat, helping. I'm very marked on minion, and that's why I kick everybody out. And this is the story. We made a deal. I want that deal. If I can get a little more oilam haba, I want that oilam haba. And she says, listen, he's begging because he can't get into oilam haba because of 3 slices of meat. And please, could you? So Rob says it's a very serious case, and give us a half an hour. Comes back a half an hour later, and he says like this: let me tell you something. There is no Mecca. This deal that they had, it doesn't exist. Because first of all, as I said once before, you cannot make a deal for future that you don't know what's going to happen. Because it doesn't. You have to. When you buy something, you have to know exactly what you're buying. He had no idea what he's selling, and he had no idea what he was buying. So that's not considered a deal. He says that's first. Oh, so the woman starts to smile. He says, however, secondly, he says, because he sold his oilam haba, which means he felt that there was no oilam haba. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin, even though it says Kol Yisrael Yesh Lahem Chelek L'Olam Haba, it's a Mishneh in Sanhedrin, but at the end of that Mishneh it says, however, if somebody doesn't believe in oilam haba, that means he's saying that there is no oilam haba. For him, there's no oilam haba. So in that case, he doesn't get oilam haba. So now the wife is already much. So they said, but there's a third part to this over here. The fact that the whole city is sitting here trying to listen to this Din Torah, because they know that a man came down from Olam Haba, Olam HaEmes, and came down here because he's crying and begging, please sell me back my Olam Haba, because there is no life up there. There's no Olam Haba. That is such a Kiddush Hashem that there's something called Schar V'Einish. You're going to get paid and rewarded and punished for not doing the right thing. But that Kiddush Hashem, he is going to go into Olam Haba. So the woman was already happy. So the butcher says, hey, Rebbe, what about me? Says the fact that you didn't want to sell it back shows how much you value Olam Haba. And the fact that you closed the store for Mincha and was such a Kiddush Hashem and this whole gathering is also because of you, he says you're going to get also that schar from Olam Haba as well that you were going to get from him. Not hit the amount of value of his Olam Haba. He had no Olam Haba. But this whole Kiddush Hashem, that goes just to show that you have no idea. Machashiv hefsed mitzvah connected schar and schar very connected. The schar of mitzvah, the schar of very is so magnified up there that we can't even have any. There's no shear. You can't value something like that. And that's what Rebbe is saying. And now to finish this Mishnah, Yistakel b'shloisha devarim ve'ein ata bo l'dei aver. That's what he says. The Rebbe continues. It's the same Mishnah. It's a longer Mishnah. And he says a person should consider three things. Histakel is the word means really to look at. Look at these three things, which means in your mind, look at them in your mind and consider them, he says. Ve'inat ha'bola de'avera. And if you do that, then if you remember these things and consider these things before you do an action, you're not going to do an avera. What are the three things? Da malo malo mimach mimcha rama. Just know what is above you. I'll get to that in a minute. And then he says, ayin roya, v'oizen shemaz, v'chol ma'asecha b'sefer niktav. What are the three things? These three things. Remember what's above you. And what is above you? Ayin roya, somebody's always watching you. Oizen shemaz, somebody's always listening to you. V'chol ma'asecha b'sefer niktav. And everything, every deed that you do is recorded. It's going to be recorded in a book. So it's going to come back to haunt you. So there's many different pshatim about what's going on over here. First of all, when a person, I think it was the moral, says a person walks around on this earth, he has like a shadow. When you walk around in the sun and there's a shadow behind you or in front of you, whatever you do is reflected in the shadow. So everything the shadow does is what you're doing. Up there in Shemayim is like your shadow. Every single movement a human being makes down here is reflected up there. Now, 100 years ago, if you would say, I'll tell you, in fact, I remember when my sons, one of my sons had a graduation. I may have said this once. And there was a man that spoke at the graduation, and he says, I work at the Pentagon. Now, this is 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, you wouldn't even think of these things. Today, it's such a normal thing. But he says, I work at the Pentagon, and there's a room full of floor-to-ceiling like TVs. And he says, I could see something in the Indian Ocean. I could see a man walking on a Russian boat in the Indian Ocean. And I can see the badge on his cap. And I can read the numbers of the badge on this particular Indian officer. And I could tell you his rank. At those days, that was unbelievable. Today, we go Skyping and you can talk there, just show them 3 minutes, you can see what's going on. But those days, it was such a chiddush. Now, 100 years ago, nobody could fathom this. This was written 2,000 years ago. And this is what he was saying. We have up there, we have a video working constantly. And the problem is this. When we go up there, after 120, they're going to play it back. So how are you going to be punished? We say it in, like before Kriya Shema. We say it in many different places. You shouldn't be embarrassed when they've done it. When we daven, many times this term is used. We shouldn't be embarrassed. What does that mean? When you get drunk and you act out, and somebody's taking a camera, a video of this, whatever you're doing for an hour, and then you go to a serious meeting, and as you go to a serious meeting, somebody plays this video when you're acting like a fool, as a drunk. There's no greater embarrassment for a person who considers himself aristocratic, like a better businessman or whatever. He feels like he's not just a low-life drunk on the street, but he acted like a low-life drunk. There's no greater embarrassment for this human being at that moment when he watches himself. That's his actions, and that's what the Rebbeinu Shalom does up there. There is a physical playback. You actually, as you get up there from the first minute you're born all the way to when you pass on, it's replayed. It doesn't take that long. It's done in speed. And every time something happens that you did that was wrong, you see it. And now don't forget, it says when you go up there, you're met. Who meets you? Your forefather, your parents, your grandparents, they all come to bring you in. They're the one in the Shama to join them. There's a certain connection to every Neshama, to every Mishpacha. And they're watching this. And you are so embarrassed from these people. This is the life that I led. Or I can't believe it was so silly to do something like this. This was for nothing. And at the end, you'll have such a great embarrassment. So then, mala, do you want to know what's going to happen when you get up there? Mimcha. It's going to be whatever you did. That's one of the ways they tarnish this shot on this over here. Just remember, whatever you're doing is going to be mimcha from you. You yourself are going to be your own judge, so to speak. You're going to say, I did that, impossible. When a person goes to daven, and then he notices his meter is up. So he leaves the davening and he says, you know what, forget the last kaddish, because my meter is going to get up. And I'm going to get a $35 ticket. So what he is saying is that a kaddish to him, the value is a $35 ticket. It's not to say he shouldn't put in enough money before he goes in, because he should plan it. That's exactly what he should do. But to him, that $35 ticket is the value of his kaddish. So one amen, in the kaddish, there's many amen. So what you're doing, Yehei Shmei Rabbah, the Gemara says that a person says Yehei Shmei Rabbah b'chol koychai with all his koyach, not meaning he's not allowed to yell, but rather yelling loud, but rather with every part of his neshama really feels when you're saying Yehei Shmei Rabbah, you're benching, you're saying bracha to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Is every single bed kazera that you have is mavatul if you do it properly, and that is what he values. For $35. So we have to realize everything, and I'm just pick that over there because it's maybe an easy thing to understand. Many different things you say, oh, forget it. I have a meeting and a business meeting, and this business meeting is forget mincha for today. But that meeting that you're going to earn is what you think is valuable. And as I said earlier, the Rebbeinu Shalom's payment on any amen, on one single amen, is so unbelievable that you're going to be so upset at yourself up there that you didn't value the amen that they valued it for a small little pittance or a deal or to sell one more item or something like that. This is how the Rebbeinu Shalom values what goes on. So ayin goya. Now ayin is all the lashon yachad because we're talking about the Rebbeinu Shalom. The Rebbeinu Shalom sees you. He doesn't really have two eyes. He just we imagine the way he looks. This is all kaviyachal because we try to put a face to a Rebbeinu Shalom, which is impossible. Is it ayin roya or is it shemas? Every single thing that you do is recorded. I said. Now, ayin roya. I saw a very interesting story a while back about the Slonim Rav. He wrote a sefer. It was called the Birchas Avram. He was Nebuch, in his later years he couldn't see. He couldn't see. So he asked his grandson every morning to come to his house. His grandson used to come take care of him in the morning. And he asked this grandson to open up the siddur to the brachas. So the grandson says, Zaidi, you want me to open it up? Of course, I'll open up the brachas. He says, but between me and you can't see. So what exactly are you doing? I mean, why would you want me to open up the brachas? It's amazing. This is the Goyim of Israel. So he says, it's true. I can't see right now. But when we say like the brachas in the morning, we say, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, poikeach ivrim, or matei asurim. Poikeach ivrim is a lashon hoiva. Now, he says, every morning, the Rebbeinu Shalom made me, for whatever he felt, it made me a saginor that I can't see. But just the way he made me blind, he can make me see. I'm davening, I say this bracha of Poikeach Ivrim with as much heart and soul as I possibly can. And every time I finish that bracha, I stare at the siddur that's in front of me, and I'm hoping I will be able to see those words in the siddur. Can you imagine? He actually felt that's the way he was davening, that if I say with the right, and if I didn't do it with the right kavanah or with the right everything, then Hashem says that it's not enough. I'll try again tomorrow. And every day he made it a point to focus at the siddur where it says, it's amazing that he had such a munus Hashem. And yet, when it didn't happen, he said, it's obviously the Rebbeinu Shalom said, my neshama is lacking. That still don't have enough of it. I'll try again tomorrow. And we should only reach a tiny drop of that, and this would be unbelievable. I'm going to finish with one more story. I don't even know the time, but I'm assuming it's pretty close. When it comes to putting in your tefillah and the ayin and shemas, there was I think what Shom Shadon said this story. There was somebody called Rabbi Toisik. Toisik was a big Talmud Chacham at the time, also in Yerushalayim. And this Rav Toisik was giving a drasha. And he was giving a drasha, and he said this story. Oh, he said this story at this drasha, the story of the Slonim Arav. In the audience, there was a fellow that started to cry. He started to cry tears and almost a little disrupted it, but everybody realized something hit his neshama. And nobody went over to him. Nobody, he didn't say anything, and he left right after the drasha. 3 months later, Rav Shalom Shadran gets a phone call, and he says, "I want to tell you something." He says, "I heard this drasha from Rav Toisik, and I came home, and I have a daughter that's very ill, and I tried, I felt whatever I can, but I felt I wasn't trying enough. Obviously, I learned from this story from the Slonim Rebbe that I wasn't trying enough. I didn't have Hashem in my tefillah. I ran to doctors, of course, you're supposed to do whatever you can do. But I really didn't put my heart and soul into this. I got home and I sat the whole family down. I told them the story. And I said, I want everybody to be makabel one thing and do it with their heart and soul. And to daven and do it with their heart and soul. When you wake up in the morning and your back hurts you, and you can't hardly move. And when for 2 days you're suffering, and then the next morning when you're feeling better and you say the brachas hashachar, and you say oiz beglura, and you say mate asur, you have no more pain. You say it with a whole different kavanah. So he wanted to preempt it. He didn't want to do it later. He wanted to do it at the beginning. And he says it's 3 months now, and for the first time, my daughter's in recession. It's Baruch Hashem. The doctors say there's very unbelievably, there's unbelievable things must have happened over there. I don't know what it is. In fact, one doctor told him, "Please tell me." He says normally this doesn't happen. I'm curious to know which rabbi helped you. In other words, who gave you a bracha? Because by the Jews, you go to the bracha and you get a bracha. Maybe hopefully it helps. He says because normally this should not happen. And this story was the impetus, was the thing that gave this man enough of a push to undertake him and his whole family, and that taka helped. So Hashem should help taka. Now we should understand that everything or whatever we're doing, we should do it with complete heart and soul, because the Rebbe Shalom is here. He's ayin roya in a good way also. Oizen shemas. And everything that you say, what you daven and what you misfollow, the Rebbe Shalom listens to. And hopefully all the tefillahs that we have, that we give, and that we learn, Hashem should help us. And Hashem, we should talk about Zoicha. That the big Mashiach, the big gula we should have right now, because there's so much craziness going on that we shouldn't have to suffer so much anymore. And have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.